Well, it's just about Christmas time, and that means that toys should be flying off of retailer shelves and toy manufacturers should be raking in boku bucks. But that's probably not the case if you work for Hasbro. In fact, instead of toys under the tree, you're probably going to find a pink slip in your paycheck and a lump of in your stocking. Let's talk about it. Hey folks, Mark here with The Rational Workforce. Thanks so much for tuning in. It is almost Christmas time, and for myself, millions of other Gen Xers out there, when we were kids, that meant only one thing, and that was Star Wars toys. This is the actual collector's case that I had when I was a little kid. It's filled with original figures. I got a couple of them out right here. We've got our buddy Han Solo. We've got, of course, Luke and Darth. I mean, look at these things. These are colored toothpicks that we had to use to replace the original lightsabers because they were so well played with. Darth Vader is currently sporting a garbage bag for his cape that my mom cut out and jury-rigged a cape because his first one ripped. I played with it so much. We had the play sets. We've got the ships and the transportation vehicles. Here's Luke's lightspeeder that has clearly seen better days. But these things were amazing back in the day. My boys played with them even after the fact. They'll go in the attic and we'll, God willing, have a grandchild to play with them someday. But these allowed us to kind of step into a universe that we absolutely loved and kind of absolutely dominated our childhood. And George Lucas changed so much of both the toy and the film industry when Star Wars came out, because toy companies could now hitch their wagon to film IPs, and it created demand for their toys, and toys created demand for sequels, and it was a really virtuous relationship. But the downside of that is when you're a toy company and you hitch your wagons to an entertainment company, and that entertainment company makes some not so great decisions, not only does it impact the folks that work for that company directly, in this case Disney, the halo effect can have a much, much more detrimental impact on the workforce of other companies. So there's plenty of other videos that are out there that talks about Disney and the challenges there. And if you've watched this channel, you certainly know my feelings on the company and where they're headed. But let's take a look at what some of the bigger implications are of Disney and some of their bombs. And conversely, when some movies go through the roof, let's see how they impact those toy companies. Check it out. So Hasbro, the toy company that now makes Star Wars and lots of other brands, just announced last week that they're going to be having some pretty substantial layoffs. And, you know, the timing couldn't be worse. Imagine that you're one of those employees, you're one of the 1,100 that's going to be affected by the layoff, and you get this news just a couple weeks before Christmas. I mean, it's terrible timing. Layoffs are never great, but especially this time of year, it cuts pretty deep. And here's a story from the BBC. U.S. toy giant Hasbro says it's cutting more jobs as it struggles with weaker sales and the build-up to Christmas. The maker of Transformers action figures and Monopoly will lay off about 1,100 workers globally. That's close to 20% of its staff. And the job cuts come as the toy industry is generally facing a slowdown in demand for its products. Market headwinds, the CEO talks about, right? So, of course, children's tastes evolve over time. What was hot one Christmas is cold the next one. So we get that. There's nothing really new there. But one of the reasons why toy manufacturers hitch their wagons to other IPs is because it helps to drive that demand, right? So let's go over to Hasbro's website. This is the Hasbro shop. This is the Star Wars page of the Hasbro shop. But if you go to shop by brands, look what else they have. Nerf, Transformers, Marvel, G.I. Joe, Star Wars. I mean, especially for little boys, just the viewpoint I'm giving it from, obviously it's what I'm closest to. But for boy brands, like, these are killer, right? You can't get a better set of IP upon which to base your toys. And I mean, I think that if you're Hasbro employees, you may have felt comfortable or confident that you've got enough diversity of brands that you're going to be able to cover your bases, especially when it comes to the holidays. But Disney and the franchises that they own, many of which were part of the brands that we just showed to you, has been having so many misfires that there's been a lot of coverage talking about how it's impacted employees and how the box office bombs are having a detrimental effect on Disney itself. But what we see through articles like this is that the halo effect of poor decisions by executives in one company can really have a pretty dramatic impact across a broader ecosystem. We saw it with Bud Light and what happened with Bud Light and how the distributors and the drivers and all the other downstream folks were impacted by it. And we're seeing it again here. Now, I want to share this video with you. So there's a fun YouTube channel called World Class Bullshitters. They cover a lot of different topics. Shout out to those guys. But one of the things that they do on a pretty frequent basis is they go to like toy stores and discount toy stores to see what's on the shelves. And I'm going to play a little clip for it right here. This is taken at an Ollie's discount store. And if you don't know Ollie's, Ollie's is like where things that absolutely cannot be sold anywhere else go to die. You can get some good buys there. No shade thrown at Ollie's. But take a look at what kind of diversity of toys that are there. And I found it to be a little bit surprising.
Tons of Black Panther. Shouldn't be surprised, though. I wasn't. Now all the usual offenders are here. The Mask, the Spears, the Eternals, they're all here. But never in this volume before. War Story toys. They're still available.
So you can see there's
now
still
let's take a
plenty of
closer
Star
look at
Wars
Boba
toys
Fett in a
too.
kilt and put him right back down. Here's an overhead shot of a lot of these things, and they're everywhere. Imagine stacking them as high as a house because you...
I mean, that makes me sad to see that, right? I mean, that's an awful lot of product that just didn't move for an awful lot of stories that really were once beloved and once, you know, and that, remember when Marvel movies back in the day came out? It was an event, right? The fact that you've got pallets and pallets and pallets of toys that aren't selling is pretty disturbing. Now, if you take a look at the other side of that coin, let's see what's happening over at Mattel. Thanks to the Barbie movie topping the 2023 box office, Mattel is thriving as Hasbro cuts 1,100 jobs. Barbie was much more than the highest grossing movie of the year, though raking in 1.4 billion worldwide was certainly impressive. For Mattel, the blockbuster sparked a boom in Barbie toy sales and helped the toy maker avoid the kind of terrible year that Hasbro and its other rivals are having. Okay, so there's where we get a snapshot of when good decisions are made. And there's probably a little bit of luck that goes into it too. But this is the type of thing as a toy manufacturer that employs thousands of people you're looking to do, right? You're looking to hook up with brands and with franchises that are going to propel your business forward as well, right? And if we look at, you know, some other things Mattel's doing is they're going to make an American Girl doll live action movie and see if they can chase some of the same success that Barbie had. My daughter was all about American Girl dolls back in the day, but you can see the power of brand and the power of storytelling and the power of good storytelling. And it really creates such a positive, virtuous circle, right? Kids see the movies, they fall in love with the characters, they fall in love with the plots and the storylines. They come home, they have the toys, they're creative, they make their own storylines to go along with it. And it just feeds wonderfully when it works out well. But when it doesn't, you're seeing what's happening with the folks over at Hasbro. So one of the things that could go sideways is maybe those entertainment brands are not feeding enough out into the marketplace, right? Maybe they're not taking care of the IP and releasing enough content. But let's take a look and see just how exactly that's not the case with Hasbro and how the tie-in is much more directly related to quality. So let's take a quick peek at the brands that Hasbro backed, right? So we talked about Star Wars, we talked about Marvel, we talked about Transformers. Let's kind of focus on those three right now. So under the Star Wars banner, we had Star Wars Bad Batch Season 2. We had The Mandalorian Season 3. We had the launch of Ahsoka, which was heralded to be the great comeback of the Disney Star Wars franchise. We had Star Wars Visions Season 2. I mean, that is lots and lots of content going out there. So Disney definitely did not starve Hasbro of plenty of opportunities to create unique characters and unique toys based off of IP. Let's look at Marvel. Even worse situation there. Marvel had Secret Invasion. They had Loki Season 2. They had in the theater Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. In the theater, they had Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, actually a great movie that did really well. They also had in the theater The Marvels, just released, just bombed. And then there was also from another studio, there was Transformers Rise of the Beasts. And then there was also Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which again was another fantastic movie. But, you really can see that the franchise was not starved of IP from which they could create toys. Again, it goes back to quality. It goes back to quality over quantity. It goes back to brands actually paying attention to what the public wants and what people want to spend money on. And it's something that Disney has been neglecting. And, again, I don't want to dwell on Disney too much. There are plenty of other content pieces out there, but I feel so badly for workers that are in some of these other downstream areas, like the folks at Hasbro that are now a couple of weeks before Christmas time just getting news that they're probably going to be losing their job, or a significant portion of them will be too. So, again, let's not forget about these folks, especially this time of year. Would love to hear what you think. Put your comments in the section below. Also, if you like what you saw, give us a thumbs up, hit like, hit subscribe, do all the things you can to help us keep the channel growing. And again, I appreciate you coming back and checking us out. We continue to grow, and it's all because of you, and we thank you for it. So with that, I'm going to sign off for another episode. We hope you catch us on the next one, and I hope you have an amazing day. And if you don't come back and see us before Christmas time, I hope you have a great holiday with your family. Love you guys. Take care. Bye.